Blessings to you. How you doing today? I pray that all is well. All right, I want to welcome you to Deliver Me Nugget. This is Apostle Lisa Biggers, and on this station, this is where we talk deliverance. Matter of fact, self-deliverance, because the Bible said my people perish because they lack knowledge. And then on this station, I believe in educating because of so many years of my life, I walked around ignorant, just assuming life was the way that it was. But I did not recognize that, blessings to you, it had a lot to do with the way that I thought, the people that I hung around, and because I was not educating myself. And so the purpose of this station is to help people be educated, because a lot of times we walk around ignorant and we're waiting on God to do something, but because we don't have the right knowledge, we walk around wondering, and He already given it to us, but you just have not gotten the right information that you needed to grow. Blessings to you. And so today what we're going to talk about is how to recognize the wounded soul. How to recognize the wounded heart and soul. I'm going to use the word heart and soul interchangeably, because the heart is the same thing as your soul. What is the soul? Your soul, blessings to you, it's the real you. Your soul is your mind. It's where you cannot see it. And so, especially around this time of the year, you got some people that are single. Some people are in relationships that are going through a lot of trials and tribulations. And some people feel like, you know what, and they look at people on Facebook, and they look at other people on social media, and they say, you know what, I don't have anybody to love me. I don't have a loved one. I don't have anybody to care for me. And so we got to understand those are signs of a wounded soul. And so what is a wounded soul? A wounded soul or a wounded mind is an injury to your mind emotionally and mentally. In other words, something has happened to you that is staining your mind. So now you think about yourself in a certain way. And so I got some signs when you have a wounded soul. So when you find yourself being depressed, addictions, cravings, eating a lot, drinking a lot, having sex, doing all kind of foolish things. It's addiction, drugs, having low self-esteem, self-hatred, rejection, betrayal. Also, two people that have a wounded soul, they deal with a lot of unforgiveness. It's because they feel hurt based off what somebody have done to them, and what it causes them to do is it causes them to stay stuck in the past. It's where they cannot move on, but they are stained in their mind, like how you have a stain on your shirt. They have a stain in their mind where they can't let it go. They can't let go what somebody did. They can't let go what somebody else said. This is the indication that you're dealing with somebody who has a wounded mind or a wounded soul. People who just have recently been broken up, a divorce, disappointment, when they're carrying the pain, people who always talk negative. Every time they open up their mouth, you know, it's a beautiful day. What's good about it? They're so negative. People that are bitter, anger, resentful. They don't care. They don't care how they look. They don't comb their hair. They don't brush their teeth. They just don't care. This is a result because of somebody's heart and mind has been wounded, and they have not taken care of themselves. And so when you see so many people that they don't care about how they look, they gain a lot of weight, they dressing sloppy, and they don't care what they look like. Also, too, a wounded heart, they can also appear as an overachiever. This is when a person will try to fake it till they make it. They'll try to fake like they got it going on, but really behind the scenes, they are really wounded and they're really hurt. And so this is where you got to be able to recognize, where are you? Are you feeling some kind of way as a result of what has happened to you? Because could it be a recent breakup? Could it be a betrayal? Somebody lied on you. You're frustrated. You're disappointed. And so when you got these things going on with your life, it causes you during this time of a year, if you don't recognize it, your mind will try to tell you to go back to the very thing that hurt you. Your mind will try to make an excuse and say, you know what? I'd rather go through this instead of being alone. I'd rather have a piece of woman than not to have a woman. I'd rather have a piece of man than not to have a man at all. I listen to people make these statements and not understanding you are dealing with a wounded mind. It's because your mind has been wounded because of what you have went through. And so when you look at Jeremiah 17:9, he said, the heart which is deceitfully above all things, and it is desperately wicked. When you look up that word desperately, it means that the heart is incurable. In other words, because of what has happened to that person, their mind is unable to be cured. The only person who can cure a broken and a wounded mind is God. And so a lot of times, this is why people, when they go through heartache, they go through pain, some start drinking, some start doing drugs, some start doing things out of character, because their mind is going through something that's so toxic and so overwhelming. And I want to say, what may be hurtful to you, it may not be hurtful to another person. And so we got to make sure that we don't judge a person and say, you know what, they so stupid, or they going through this, they going through that. But you don't know, that person can't handle what you handle, and you can't handle what another person is handling. But this is where on this station, we're going to teach you how to recognize when your heart is wounded and when your heart is in such a bad place that when you begin to now compromise and say, you know what, even though they lied on me, but this is my friend, even though that, you know what, they betrayed me, but we've been knowing each other for 20 years. This is where you make excuses for what the person did, and you go back to the very person that stained you. You go back to the very person that's toxic, the person that's dysfunctional, the person that's not healthy. But in your mind, you are rationalizing going back to a person who got you in trouble, lied on you, told a lie on you in the job, saying you stole something you ain't steal. This is where you got to understand your mind is really sick. I'm not saying not to forgive the person. I want to clear that up. I'm not saying not to forgive the person, but what I'm saying is, why go back to somebody who's hurting you? This is in relationships all across the board. It can be family members, co-workers, church members, love relationships. And so when you find that a person have hurted you and wounded you, but when you find yourself trying to make excuses and you go back to the abuser to abuse you, it's shame on you. And this is an indication that your mind is incurably sick. This is why God said in Jeremiah 17 that the mind is so sick. He said, who can search it? He said, I am the only person who can search the mind, even to give man according to his ways. And so the only person who can heal this mind is God. And so when we got people going from one relationship to another relationship, when you got people just hanging around people who are no good for them, the reason why they keep doing these same repetitive patterns is because their mind is sick, and and can't nobody cure it but God. And because sometimes people run away from God. Oh, I don't want to hear that church stuff. Oh, I don't want to hear no message. Not understanding he is the only one that can heal you. He is the only one that can deliver you. And so when you find that somebody who have wronged you, but you trying to now and this is where a person will make it your fault, and you still try to say, well, you're right, it's my fault, when you clearly know that they hurt you, but yet they're trying to make it your fault. And then you'll say, well, you know what, okay, but just because you don't want to deal with you, and just because you don't want to be by yourself, you'll accept wrong, somebody saying you're wrong, when you know that what they did was wrong to you. But because you don't want to be alone, you will begin to accept that accusation, what that person says. You are dealing with a wounded heart. Your mind is sick. When you do not acknowledge your truth, when you can't acknowledge that, you know what, that person hurt me, you don't want to own up to your feelings, but you want to act as if that what they did didn't matter. You want to act as what they did, oh, it was something small, it was okay, and you try to make up as if it's all right. That's an indication that you're dealing with a wounded heart, because you don't want to acknowledge that something is wrong with you, and so you don't want to deal with you, but then yet you would rather go to somebody who's toxic, who cannot help you, but they would keep you at a place of stagnation. But because you're dealing with self-hatred, you're dealing with loneliness, you're dealing with unforgiveness, you're dealing with insecurity, you would rather be at a sick place than to be at a healed place by yourself. And this is what we're looking at when you're looking at the culture of people. People rather be friends with somebody who is an enemy than to be friends with somebody who would tell them the truth. This is what we're looking at in our world today. People would rather be around the people who are liars, who is telling them what they want to hear, versus when they hear somebody telling them the truth, because they don't want to deal with the truth, they will turn their back on the person who is telling them the truth, and they will begin to succumb to a bunch of liars, people who don't mean them any good. And this is an indication why we have so many people are sick in their mind, and this is why they will find themselves addicted to the abuser. They will find themselves addicted to people who will lie on them, people who will call them out their names, people who will call them stupid, you dumb, you'll never be nothing. And they make excuses. Another thing is, when you're dealing with a wounded heart, you ignore your feelings. You're not taking ownership of your feelings. Can I tell you, if you're going to be delivered, you got to take ownership of your feelings. You got to say, yes, what they did hurt me. Yes, what they did. You know what? I got to make up my mind. I'm not going to keep on, shame on me, you don't hurt me again one time. You didn't, you keep hurting me 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and you keep letting people hurt you. You are dealing with a wounded mind. Your mind is so sick. You keep going back letting somebody kill you. You keep going back letting somebody slap you. You keep going back letting them spit on you because you're not acknowledging your feelings. You got to get to a place to acknowledge your feelings. Yes, it's family members. Yes, it's somebody who you love. But if it's hurting you, you got to be able to recognize and say, you know what? I love me enough to be by myself than to allow me to be around a bunch of people who in my family that say that they love me, hurt me. The devil is a lie. That means I got to learn to love myself. Instead of me going around a bunch of co-workers who I know they just tolerate me, they call me all kind of names, but because I don't want to be by myself, I let them call me names instead of me stealing away by myself. See, this is an indication you're dealing with a wounded mind. And so when you ignore your feelings and you try to connect with the person who hurt you, and here's another sign that you're dealing with a hurtful relationship. They will apologize to you, but what you told them that they do to hurt you, they'll keep on doing it. And then you will stay there. We got to understand, when you're staying in a situation and somebody, you keep telling them, you know what, when you step on my shoe, that hurt my feelings. When you cuss me out, that hurt my feelings. And they say, I'm sorry, but they keep on cussing you out. They keep on stepping on your shoe. They keep on hurting your feelings. That person is trying to train you to let you know that you're nothing, and they let you know that they ain't thinking about what you said. And so when we find ourselves trying to make excuses, well, I'm going to just wait on God. You can wait on God all you want to, because that person is showing you that they're not trying to change. That person is showing you that, you know what, you either going to be damaged or else you can go on about your business. Because when you sit there and allow somebody to keep kicking you, you telling them I'm wounded, you telling them you hurting me, you telling them what you saying to me making me feel some kind of way, but then yet they keep on calling you out your name. Yep, your mama, you just a little heifer, you just gonna be. And you say, well, mama, I don't like that. Go on, be, get out of my face. You got to understand that she does not respect you. She don't respect you. And so guess what? I'd rather have a healthy self-esteem and love my mother from afar off than to be in a relationship with my mother calling me out of my name. You got to understand, you're dealing with a wounded mind when you are accepting somebody else's abuse for them to keep hurting you in your mind. And see, this is an invisible injury, because this is an injury that you can't see, but you can tell how it makes you feel. And so when you get around that person, you're quiet, you're on eggshells. This is where you feel like, you know what, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to set them off. You know what, you can't even be yourself because you're critiquing to be around this person. And you got to understand, if you're around a person and they're not making you better, if you're around a person and you're not growing, if you're around a person and you so stressed out, you so intense, you got to understand you in the wrong kind of relationship. Because when your heart and your mind is so wounded, you will tolerate somebody else's abuse. You will tolerate them calling you out your name. You will tolerate them telling you that you ain't nothing, and you will just smile, acting as if it don't hurt you when it really does hurt you. And so when you can't express yourself, You got to understand, you dealing with somebody who is toxic. Can I tell you, you got to stop listening to people. They can't tell you no better because they don't know no better themselves. The Bible says you will know a tree by the fruit that it bears. So here it is. They're around people cussing them out and they trying to tell you what you should do. How you going to listen to somebody else tell you what you should do when they can't even take their own advice? You got to begin to understand, when you surround yourself around broken people, you're going to stay broken. If you want to be healed, you got to surround yourself around people who are going in a direction where you want to go. And you got to allow yourself to be uncomfortable. You got to allow yourself to say, you know what? Ooh, they causing me to grow. Ooh, here they saying some real stuff. And you got to be able to take it like a grown woman. You got to be able to take it like a grown man. Because see, I found out when you begin to tell people the truth, people are so toxic that they can't handle the truth. You tell them that they breath smelling, they getting mad. You telling them that they smell a little fresh, they getting upset. But here it is, they was just talking to their friends. Their friends act like they didn't smell their breath. But time you left, they was talking about you. Here it is, you was musty. You were around your family. Nobody said nothing to you. But when you walked off, they was talking about you like a dog. So now I'm telling you that you're a little musty. I'm telling you, you need to go take a bath. You get mad at me, want to make me your enemy. But the people who you say love you would not tell you the truth. And this is what we're dealing around, these kind of people. And it's an indication that your mind is sick because you can't handle the truth. And so if you begin to tell somebody, this is what I will accept, this is what I won't accept. Oh, they too cocky. Oh, no. Just because now I can tell you what I will accept and what I won't accept. Where you was when I let people just walk over me. Where you was when people would say all kind of stuff to me and I couldn't defend myself. But now God has raised me up. God has healed me. I can express myself. Now people don't want to tolerate you because now you know how to get them up off of you. You know how to let them know. You know, I'm not going to let you call me out my name. I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to let you raise your voice at me like I'm some child. You going to respect me just like how you want me to respect you. So this is what we got to understand, especially around this time of the season. So you want to go back and start looking at pictures. Oh, I remember when we was like this. I remember when we was together. You know what? I'm not going to look at no pictures. You can look at pictures and think about the good times, but you better look at them pictures and think about the bad times. You better look at them pictures when they get doggone got on your nerve. They call you everything but a child of God. When they put their hands on you, you better think about the bad times. Sometimes we get so caught up on the good times because you look at them and their husband. They look so cute. Look at her. Look at him and his wife. They look so cute. I'm finna call my boo back. You better let your boo stay where your boo at, because here it is, you trying to get healed, but then now because you don't got in your feelings. I even have heard some church people tell people, you know what? It ain't nothing wrong. Just go and get a little something. You know, if you got to pay your bills, yes, I know it's Christmas time, but let's be honest. Jesus wasn't born. He was born in either between September and November. Don't you sit up here and not pay your rent, not pay your bills, talking about giving somebody a gift. See, that's an indication that your mind is still sick, because for one day, you trying to get yourself upset, about to have a nervous breakdown. I don't have the money to get my children. I don't have no money to get this and get that. Why in the world are you stressing out when you know that y'all got to have somewhere to stay December the 26th? Y'all got to have some food to eat December the 26th. But here it is, you talking about December the 25th, and you letting these folks tell you, go ahead and get a little something. If you don't have to pay your light bill, that is foolishness. We better stop listening to people. That's right, woman of God. Stop listening to people tell us this foolish mess when you got to understand God say, I give you wisdom. And you got to understand, if matter of fact, if you saying that you want to choose to celebrate Christ's birthday, give to somebody who can't pay you back. But when you sitting up here trying to give to somebody or giving to your children, when you give to them 365 days a year, don't you let no one day condemn you. Don't you let no a person try to make you feel guilty by saying that you need to do this and do that. See, this is what I mean when I say we got to get healed, because people will mess with you in your mind to try to make you feel less than just because you're not doing what they doing. And and I'm going to talk about this. What do the lonely do at Christmas? The lonely do what everybody else do. The lonely lives. And guess what? You surround yourself around people who love you. You get around some people who are positive. Stop sitting at home watching all this blues and this stuff that's going to make you feel bad. This is where you got to learn to take care of yourself. That's what deliverance is about. It's where you're not waiting on somebody to say, come on, let's do this. No, you go take your own self out to eat. No, you go take your own self. You know what? I'm going to just go walk in the mall and get me an ice cream cone. You do something that's going to make you happy. Be around other people that's going to be able to keep you laughing, keep you busy. Don't you sit there and be by yourself and say, oh, it's me. I'm by myself. Oh, I'm divorced. And so now I can't do nothing. The devil lives a lie. Guess what? I'm going to live like I've been living. And I'm going to tell God he's good, because you know what? God is good. He didn't say that it was going to always be good 24/7, but I'm going to choose to say that God is good even being alone. And you can't stop living because you're going through. And so another thing, so stop listening to people. And I got here, do not listen to people who do not have your best interest. Sometimes we are listening to people who don't have your best interest. You're listening to people who trying to take advantage of you, people who trying to manipulate you, people who know your situation, and they trying to make you feel bad. They trying to get up under your skin. They trying to make, oh, I'm the only one that wants you and want you to come back to negative. You gotta, you know, I'd rather be by myself and be positive than to be with another individual and be miserable. I'm going to say that again. I'd rather be by myself and be positive where I can control my atmosphere than being around somebody who's going to hurt me, somebody who's going to mess with me emotionally, who's going to wound my mind. You got to understand, I can control when I'm by myself, but I can't control when I'm with somebody else. So stop allowing people who do not have your best interest, and I don't care who their title is. It could be mama, daddy, husband, wife, sister, brother, church member, co-worker. If they don't have your best interest, stop allowing them to tell you what you need to do. I got another scripture for you in Psalms 119:71. He said, it was good for me that I was afflicted, that I may learn your statutes. The Bible is saying it was good that you went through so that you know how to recognize, you know, I never let myself get in a situation like that. This is where you got to go through what you went through. So if you had a good friend and you get and she took advantage of you spending all your money, you got to reevaluate that. You know what? I'm going to make sure when I get people every time, hey, you got that, you got that, you got that. You need to know the signs so that they won't take advantage of you again. You need to make sure that when you get in a relationship, the same things that happened before, that it would not happen again. So you got to go through the situation so that you can say, okay, you know what? I see what I did wrong now. You know, you got in a relationship and you told somebody your business. So now he's showing you stop talking so much. You meet somebody and you telling them all about your business. So you got to learn so you know what not to do again. So this is where God is saying these are pitfalls that you need to learn from. But if you are, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Leave me alone. And sometimes people are so stuck. Some people are driving folk crazy. They did me like this. They did. Every time you talk to them, they talk about what they did. You can't even have a good conversation with them without them going on what happened 20 years ago. What somebody did to you 10 years ago. Can you live in the now? Can you live in the present? But when a person is so wounded, they don't want to let it go. They are so stuck and they want to. You remember when you did that to me? You remember when you said that to me? You remember how y'all treated me like this? You remember, and you telling everybody, and you say, when did that happen? Oh, it was 10 years ago. What? You talking about like it was yesterday. This is an indication that you are stuck because you can't move on. You got to understand, if God forgave you, you got to understand, if you can't forgive a person, you might well end the relationship there. You can't go in a relationship and you keep bringing up the past. That relationship is going to always be toxic. That relationship is going to always be dysfunctional because you got one person stuck and another person is trying to move forward. And so you can't go forward because the other person don't want to let things go. And this is all relationship across the board. You remember what your daddy did to me? And so therefore, and you like, you know what? We can't have no family dinners together. because you keep going back to what he did. And I'm trying to tell you, I want us to be a family now, but we can't be no family because you keep talking about what this person did 20 years ago. See, this is what I'm saying. That's an indication that your mind is wounded. And we deal with this in our families. We deal with this in our marriages. We deal with this with our children. We deal with this in the church. We deal with this in relationships all across the board. And it shows up during this season because you got all these emotions and everything flying up and people getting upset and people want to show this false love, but not understanding that the first person I got to love is God, and I got to love myself, because I got to love myself to say, you know what, you raised my blood pressure. And so if you raise my blood pressure, I got to have enough common sense to say, I can't be around you. I got to say, you know what, I don't want to go out to eat with you all. I know if you're going, I'm not going to go. This is where you got to protect yourself and your peace. I'm not going to sit here and go somewhere and you always trying to throw off on me. You always trying to put me down. You got to understand, separate yourself. You can't control them, but you can control you. And this is where God is saying, you got, that's right, no fake love. So you know what, I love you from a distance. I love you from afar off, but I'm not going to allow you to steal my peace. I'm not going to allow you to steal my joy. So you got to understand, you got to be willing to do what you need to do, and don't let these people put you in these feelings because you looking at what other people doing. Yes, that's a blessing. Other people marriage doing good, other relationship doing good. They doing good with their parents. But I may not be in that situation right now. But guess what? It's still good for me, because right now I got to take care of me before I try to take care of anybody else. And so this is where you got to understand, you got to know the signs of a wounded heart, because when a person is wounded, guess what? They're going to try to make you wounded just like them. This is why you got to know how to guard your heart, and you got to know how to remove yourself from people that don't want to be friends with you. Somebody who I had a situation with, they said, I don't want to be your friend. And I said, you know what? I respect that, because I understand I'm not trying to be somebody's friend when they don't want to be my friend. I understand they're not there yet, but I'm at a place where I'm okay. I didn't take it as rejection. I didn't take it why they don't know. They got a right to feel the way that they want to feel. And so you got to understand, it's your job to protect you. It's your job to keep you healthy. And so you can't keep weighing other people on your shoulders trying to take care of them when you have not taken care of yourself. And so as I get ready to come to a close, you got to know the signs of a wounded heart. You even got to repent to yourself, because where you loved another person more than you love yourself, you tried to please another person more than you please yourself, you're dealing with a wounded heart. You got to understand, God lives in you. You're supposed to love God first and love yourself first before you can love another person, to make sure that you can love them the right way. Because sometimes we looking at love, we looking at it through the wrong lenses and not understanding we looking at a toxic love, which is lust, and it's not love, because love don't keep a record of people wrongs. Love is not backstabbing. Love is not jealous. Love is not puffed up. And so we got to understand, God is trying to teach us around this holiday season, you got to know how to protect your heart, and don't let people get you in your feelings. Don't listen to them Christmas songs. What do the lonely do at Christmas time? My baby on gone and left me. Don't listen to that stuff. Don't listen to that stuff. Don't let people put you in situations where you're listening to that stuff, because you got to protect yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. You know what? Is this person good for me? Does this person make me a better person? Am I growing because this person is in my life? Am I happier because this person is in my life? Is this person doing, is this person a taker, or they give just like how I give? Because guess what? If this person is not matching what you match, you got to understand, you better protect yourself, because when you're dealing with a wounded heart, God is the only one who can heal this wounded heart. That's what I showed you in Jeremiah 17:9. He said the heart is deceitfully wicked, and that means it's incurable. The only person who can cure your heart is God. And that's why we got to go back to God and take that person. God, I made them my God. I made that relationship my God. I made that house, that car, that job my God. And I ask you to forgive me. I need you to heal me. You got to connect back with Father, because you have allowed the wrong situation to come in and take his place. And so this is ways that you can overcome. Pray Psalm 51. God created me clean hands and a pure heart. I need you to wash my heart. Show me my error. Show me my fault. Show me what I was doing. Show me what I said that I shouldn't have said. Because God is trying to protect us. So don't get so caught up in your feelings in this season, allowing people to pull you out of the will of God, and your heart is already wounded. It's your job to protect your heart, to protect your womb, and allow God to heal you. I pray that this nugget was a blessing to you all, and I will see you all Thursday. You all be blessed, and I love you all with the love of the Lord. Bye-bye.